Coming up, a police chase in Houston leaves a 2-year-old dead, and a Grapevine resident is charged with his involvement on the Capitol. And is 9 years old too old to become a father? All that and more. The Newsfeed starts now. My name's Izzy Price, and walking in this morning, it was a little bit muggy outside.
Yeah, Izzy, it is pretty muggy outside right now as it's currently raining at TCC. Light to moderate rain is expected for the next couple hours, but to our east in the dark green, about half to an inch of rain is expected throughout today. But we do look to be clearing up later this evening, and I'll get more into that in the news feed.
Students shared their experiences with test anxiety and how it affects their ongoing studies. Southeast counselor Sam Weaver stated that up to 50% of college students who deal with anxiety also experience test anxiety. Weaver explained that test anxiety within students can be helped both cognitively and behaviorally by addressing their internal thinking and their surroundings externally. Some behavioral changes Weaver suggested include having adequate sleep and nutrition before a test. A 2-year-old girl from Houston is dead after sheriff deputies say her father removed her from daycare, attacked her mother, and then led deputies on a chase standoff. Joel Eisenbaum has details.
It was a full-scale SWAT scene caught by our camera. The plan to rescue a 2-year-old girl from her own biological father, who more or less kidnapped her Monday morning from daycare. That 20-something-year-old suspect seemed to show no concern whatsoever for his daughter's well-being. And even with lifeline, she did not survive this. That 2-year-old died. How was she hurt? That was my first question.
How did the child come to be injured?
The initial information that we received again from the suspect was apparently that the child had, I'm paraphrasing here, had jumped around the car, during everything that had transpired, possibly struck her head.
After Dad got her from daycare, he headed to Walmart where Mom works. That's what the sheriff tells us. There were words, an altercation, and according to the sheriff, threats made against both Mom and child.
He confronted the mother of the child and began making threats, asking for her phone, her passcode, with child in hand, and basically threatening to hurt the child.
Not long after that, a police chase. Bystander Brittany Rogers was sideswiped, she says, by the suspect's Camaro.
Next thing I know, I just see him hit my car. I feel it. And I'm looking at him and he just back on out.
And then that red Camaro stopped and just stayed there. Stubner Airline north of 1960 was blockaded for hours. The suspect and his daughter inside the car. Presumably, she was already dying. But he wouldn't.
It's not certain whether Donald Trump will face punishment for any of the potential charges he faces. However, the same cannot be said for many of the people who have worked for him or in his circle. CNN's Tom Foreman gives us more.
The list of Trump allies tied to crimes has been picking up new names for years. Start with Steve Bannon.
I stand with Trump and the Constitution.
Trump's firebrand advisor was slapped with a fine and 4 months in prison for ignoring a congressional subpoena about the attack on the Capitol. His time behind bars is on hold while he appeals. He's also pleaded not guilty to New York State charges of money laundering, conspiracy, and fraud.
They will never shut me up. They'll have to kill me first.
Alan Weisselberg, Trump's longtime chief financial officer, is serving 5 months for tax fraud and was ordered to pay $2 million in back taxes, interest, and penalties. Paul Manafort, once Trump's campaign chairman.
From day one, I always felt they were targeting me and a couple of others to try and get at the president, then the candidate Trump, and then President Trump.
He's agreed to pay more than $3 million to the government over his tax filings. He spent 2 years in prison for bank and tax fraud, illegal foreign lobbying, and more before Trump pardoned him. Rick Gates pleaded guilty to aiding and abetting Manafort in concealing $75 million in foreign bank accounts. He spent 45 days in jail and became a government informant.
The next president of the United States, right here.
Trump pardoned Michael Flynn, once his national security advisor, who admitted lying to the FBI about his contact with Russia. Then he tried to walk that admission back. Flynn's now suing the government, alleging malicious prosecution. Advisor George Papadopoulos got 12 days for lying to investigators in the Russia probe. He was pardoned. George Nader was an informal campaign advisor who pleaded guilty to sex crimes. Elliot Brody, a fundraiser, pleaded guilty to running a secret lobbying campaign. Roger Stone was convicted of lying to Congress. Trump pardoned him too. And there is former Trump attorney Michael Cohen, confined nearly 3 years after admitting several crimes, including campaign finance violations. He now routinely calls for accountability for his former boss.
Everyone needs to be held to the same standard of the law, and that includes former presidents.
None of this proves Donald Trump committed any crimes before, during, or after his presidency, but it does give his critics a lot to say about the company he keeps.
A Grapevine resident has been sentenced to prison after a result of his involvement in the January 6th attacks. We'll have that story and more when the Newsfeed continues.
If you're buzzed and doing this, to make yourself feel okay to drive,
ZWX.
you're not okay to drive.
YGKLVW. Regular you.
I am what hunger looks like in America. I am an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for the last day of school. Because this may be the last time I'll have lunch. Till September. I am a single father of 2 who works 3 part-time jobs, and that's still not enough to put food on the table. I was created by artificial intelligence from faces of the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger.
Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
There is a road laid out for me.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
Leading down to the river. I am blind, but I need not see.
What do you think?
I know this road is there for me. If I'm really free, take me down to the river and walk.
As a dad, every day is a challenge. To make sure that the time that I have, I spend with them. It doesn't matter how tired you are, you have to try to teach them. When they learn something new, and you can just see in their faces, it's such an incredible moment. It's those moments that are my favorite.
A retired Air Force lieutenant colonel who wore military gear in the Senate chambers during the January 6th attack was sentenced Friday to 2 years in prison. Larry Brock was found guilty on 6 charges, including a felony of obstruction of an official proceeding. During his sentencing on Friday, a U.S. district judge called his behavior, quote, astounding and atrocious. Brock was captured on video on the floor of the Senate chambers in body armor that he purchased the previous month. Brock's defense attorneys say they plan on appealing the prison sentence. 2 teenagers are in a Houston jail accused of being in a violent attack on a woman. One of the suspects got away with cash that police say the victim had withdrawn from the bank. As Micah Hatfield reports, the violent attack was caught on security video, and the victim was left with serious life-altering injuries.
Followed, robbed, and assaulted, Nguyen Trung is seen here in this surveillance video walking down a sidewalk in Chinatown when a 17-year-old, now identified by police as Joseph Harrell, tries to rob her of an envelope of money. He starts to run off, realizes he didn't grab the cash, doubles back, and slams her to the ground.
It is just senseless. And when you have a male commits a crime against anybody, but using our female citizens and committing a robbery.
The violent robbery happened on February 13th. Truong's ribs are cracked and her spine is fractured. She was left unconscious. Police arrested 2 teenagers this week. 19-year-old Zainika Woods, accused of following the victim for 24 miles in her car from the bank to Chinatown and driving the getaway car. 17-year-old Harrell, out on bond at the time for 2 charges. The person police say you see in that disturbing video.
She confessed to taking part in the crime. She also implicated the co-defendant or the co-actor in this particular crime.
The detective says he also confessed to being part of the jugging. Harrell is accused of an aggravated assault of another woman 12 days after this attack. Advice from police: avoid going to the bank if you can, but if you do, be aware of your surroundings.
Things are just a little bit more toxic now on all levels. They're just a little bit more toxic now. And when we recognize that, then we have to adjust our behavior accordingly. And that's what's happening here.
Security guards stopped an armed man at a strip club in Tampa. Police released security footage from Mon's Venue strip club on Sunday. They say Michael Rudman tried to walk into the club wearing a red and black devil mask and carrying a firearm. Before he could enter, the club security video shows a guard grabbing the weapon. The two fought as other security guards jumped in. They were able to disarm and subdue Rudman. More than 500,000 kids didn't go to school in the nation's second largest school district this past Tuesday, but union school workers did with picket signs. The union, representing 30,000 support staff, called a 3-day strike after nearly a year of negotiations with the Los Angeles Unified School District. Mike Valerio has the latest.
Union school service workers on the picket line in Los Angeles. With them, a union representing around 30,000 LA public school teachers.
We start this solidarity strike in support of SEIU Local 99.
We know losing pay will be difficult, but LAUSD has pushed us to a strike.
Cafeteria workers, custodians, bus drivers, and more, all fed up and united in their demands, primarily a 30% pay raise, one that could pull many union members above the state's poverty line.
Who can live on $25,000 a year?
House Democratic Congressmember Adam Schiff warning that 1 in 3 of the striking workers is at risk of homelessness.
They have to spend 85% of their income just to keep a roof over their head.
We know it is hard for our students and their families, but the permanent change that we're asking for will help students forever.
The LA Unified School District's latest offer included a 23% pay raise and full health benefits for some part-time workers. That was rejected by the union.
We have been at a fixed position for a long time. We want to land a historic contract that honors the work of our workforce.
Striking workers say their demands are fair and clear.
The onus is on the district. Did y'all hear me? The onus is on this district.
In Los Angeles, I'm Mike Valerio reporting.
It's never too late to become parents, especially when you're a tortoise. Find out their age next.
Found my heart out there in the open. Trees make you feel smaller. Can't help but get lost again. If I need a break, know where I'm going. Where the water's flowing, I'd rather be floating. If it's something I can count on to be free.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Okay. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
STEM is everywhere. Like here, behind the scenes of The Walking Dead.
When we break down clothes, we tumble it with sodium phosphate, rock salt, and dish detergent.
We stitched together images of our model and created a 3D set that can be walked through in a VR headset.
We're able to turn 12 walkers into 1,000 walker hordes.
STEM can create new worlds on and off the screen. What will you make with STEM? Get inspired at shecanstem.com.
A car accident in Colorado led to a surprising find for law enforcement. The Pueblo County K-9 team found a stuffed animal filled with fentanyl. As Grace Kramer reports, police say the drug is a growing issue in the state.
Who the type of person is and where they got it and why they decided to use a bunny.
Many questions remain unanswered after Pueblo County deputies say a K-9 team found this bunny stuffed with drugs. Deputies say it started at this rest stop alongside southbound I-25 after they received calls of a rollover crash Monday morning. While investigating, Colorado State Patrol says deputies learned from a witness that one of the people in that crash threw a backpack into a trash can. And when a K-9 unit arrived, the team found the stuffed animal, drugs, and a gun. Authorities say the 3 people involved in that crash, all under the age of 18, were taken to the hospital with minor injuries. State Patrol says no charges have been filed and no names have been released yet.
We're doing a large seizures daily of fentanyl.
While the Pueblo County Sheriff's Office and State Patrol wouldn't talk on camera, I did speak with Pueblo Police. They say fentanyl is a growing concern not only in their city, but across the state.
The danger with fentanyl is it's a lot stronger than regular heroin or other opiates like that. Anytime we come across, I don't know, more than like 10 pills, that's significant for us.
Jack Daniels has a date with the Supreme Court next Wednesday. Lawmakers for the whiskey maker will argue a dog toy company violated federal trademark law with a product that parodies the distiller's bottle. The Bat Spaniel's silly squeaker toy. The case pits the rights of a famous trademark holder against the First Amendment rights of a company that is just making a joke. It's a little up there to be a new dad, but don't tell that to Mr. Pickles. These are his kids. Mr. Pickles is a radiated tortoise who lives at the Houston Zoo. He is the oldest animal at the zoo, and he and his wife and his mate, Mrs. Pickles, have been together since her arrival to the zoo in 1996. The cuddly baby reptiles are dill, gherkin, and jalapeno. The family is really special because these radiated tortoises are an endangered species. If you're looking for a reason to renovate, here's why you'll never know what to expect in your walls. A couple in northern England was remodeling their apartment kitchen when workers found 2 murals believed to be nearly 400 years old. Historic England, a public body that looks after the country's historic environment, says the art is from the 17th century. They depict a biblical scene. Historic England is assisting in having the murals documented and will look after them for the couple. The couple was given a high-quality, life-size replica of the murals, which the couple says they've incorporated into their decor. The apartment building is a Gregorian building dating back to 1747. Next on the newsfeed, Preston gives us a breakdown for the weekend weather, and the flooding continues in Arizona. Stay with us.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping, and I can't let this happen to my kid. So if you want to talk to your kids, you have to get it trending.
No, you're doing it wrong.
Let's go.
Can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome. Prediabetes does. 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, but with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. And you
can change the outcome. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test today. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Tourism at Lake Tahoe is taking a huge hit this season, leaving some business literally buried and others struggling to operate. Brittany Hope reports.
We have seen tons of buildings that are covered in snow. Check out this parking lot full of businesses. They are buried. You can barely get inside. And that is the case for restaurants, hotels, motels, and shops. We saw plenty of people and staff members out today using this slow in the snow to try to dig out. Zaz Lakefront, a restaurant in Tahoe City, has been open in the area since 1988. The owner tells me this winter has been harder on his business than the COVID-19 pandemic was.
I think we were down 25% January. We were down like 33% in February, and we're down so far this month, we're down about 38%. So this month, March is usually one of the biggest months of the year. You know, when you look at the numbers, it's really hard.
So Preston, I know we've just entered spring, but I don't really think there's any spring weather we can expect. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
After that snowstorm passed through our northwestern states and brought some heavy rain, snowfall totals, it did bring some locally heavy rainfall totals into our eastern counties and around TCC. But we have finally cleared up, and right now at TCC, we are sitting about 74 degrees, mostly sunny across the board in the Metroplex, heating to about 76 degrees later on during that peak heating hour. But unfortunately, we do fall into low 50s tonight as that northern wind does keep on blowing, but it does keep us dry for the most of the forecast into your weekend. But looking at your weekend, it is looking springtime already. I would try and get outside and enjoy this weather while you can, because summer is approaching and we do look to be heating up pretty soon. 76 across the board throughout your weekend for the next 48 hours. 49 is your low on Saturday and the low about 56 on Sunday, as it's mostly sunny across the board with minimal wind impacting us all throughout the weekend. But looking into your 5-day forecast, the story does change a little bit, and we do look to be a little bit gloomy for the first 3 days. 71 is your high on Monday with lows of 48. 66 on Tuesday with lows of 48 as well, as cloud cover does impact us those first 2 days. But we do clear up on Wednesday and heat up just a little bit. 70 is your high on Wednesday with lows of 61. But those summer temperatures have finally approached to close out your work week. 80 is your high on Thursday with lows of 61, and a high about 81 on Friday to close out your work week. Now on Thursday and Friday, try and enjoy it as much as you can, because spotty showers are expected later on to that evening as that gulf moisture does roll up and a dry front does impact us from the north, just brewing typical thunderstorms that you would see in spring. No severe weather, thankfully, is expected, but looking ahead at your future forecast, it looks like summer is fastly approaching in March, as we do see to be looking at those low 80 and upper degree temperature ranges rolling on to March and early April.
Thanks for the weather updates, Preston. Floodwaters are forcing some residents in Arizona to leave their homes. Evacuation orders are in place in parts of northern Arizona as flash floods move through the region. The sheriff's office posted an alert on Tuesday about evacuations. People living in the areas were told to move to higher ground. That part of the county saw 1 to 2 inches of rain on Tuesday, with some more rain possible throughout the week. Weather conditions in South Dakota caused slick roads last week. Just take a look at Interstate 90 near Sioux Falls. A semi-truck nearly flattened a highway patrol cruiser. The truck driver lost control and slammed into the vehicle. The trooper was stopped on the side to control traffic after an earlier crash. According to Facebook reports, the injuries were only minor.
Coming up, the Mavs and Stars are fighting for playoff lives. Cowboys make a big splash this offseason, and a couple upsets in the NCAA tournament. That and more when the NewsFeed returns.
I tell my son, I love you every single day. Now, my dad has never said that to me. Not because he doesn't love me, but because culturally it wasn't comfortable for him. Now that he's a grandfather, he says, I love you to my son every time he sees him. My advice to all the fathers out there, forget the cultural restrictions. They grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious moment.
Hey, boss. Okay?
I said I'm fine.
Put me to bed, see you in the morning. With the frosted Superman, but it wasn't on it. And we lost it.
You can talk to me.
It's been really, really hard for me.
What a difference 2 weeks can make in the NBA. The Mavs are fighting for their playoff life after Wednesday's loss, 127-125 to the Warriors. The Mavs have now lost 5 of their last 7 games and find themselves tied for the last play-in spot with the Lakers. But there's possibly a glimmer of hope in the distance. With 9 games left this season, the Mavs have 6 games against teams with losing records, and one of those on the schedule being tonight against the Charlotte Hornets. On the ice, the best record in the West is slip-sliding away from the Stars. Though the Stars are holding on tightly to the best record in the Central Division, the Wild are right on their tail. There's 10 games left in the regular season. Tomorrow night, they take on Vancouver before hitting the road for a 3-game road trip. During the NFL offseason, the Cowboys are making moves that many of their fans would consider to be surprising by acquiring 5-time Pro Bowl corner Stephon Gilmore from Indianapolis. Their offense is getting some help as well, thanks to the trade from the Texans to bring in receiver Brandon Cooks. And I'm going to leave you with an exciting piece of madness in the NCAA tournament. Princeton, yes, Princeton from the Ivy League, knocked out number 2 Arizona, then knocked out number 7 Missouri to reach the Sweet 16 as a 15th seed. 16th seed Fairleigh Dickinson knocked out Final Four favorite number 1 seed Purdue from the tournament. And in the NIT tournament, North Texas is in the Final Four. It will play Wisconsin. Come on, Mean Green, bring back that trophy to the Metroplex. And that's your Timeline Sports.
After the long winter, many of us might be dreaming of beach days. For a couple of kids in Florida who rely on ventilators, a day at the beach is a dream come true. As Liz Martinez reports, a special camp made it possible for 11 children to have some fun in the sun.
Fun is about to be had. Gavin and a bunch of his friends are at Miami Beach for the day. Now, normally, that wouldn't be possible for these kids with medical limitations.
They have a safe day at the beach and have a normal day like any other child, and they really enjoy it.
11 children dependent on ventilators, getting in some salt air, warm sunshine, and the ocean. Nancy is Gavin's mom. They drove down from Buffalo for this.
We really can't go to the beach unless we carried him, which he's getting bigger now. Gavin's 15 now, so he's getting a little bit bigger, and we have to carry the ventilator, the suction, the emergency bag, the ambu bag, and all of that. So this is just an awesome opportunity.
Kids from all over come for this yearly camp called Ventilation Assisted Children's Center, or VAC. And some of them get in the water. Look at Gavin. Special handheld ventilators allow the kids to breathe while in the water. Miami Beach Fire Rescue is there to support them.
It gives me a chance to interact with kids and their families in a non-emergency setting, which is always great, and in a fun place, a fun environment, giving a chance to them to experience something that, someone might only get once in their life.
The goal of today, let kids be kids.
Play. And today we are enjoying the water.
Enjoying the water like everyone else while making fun spring break memories.
they don't feel they have limitations. And that reminds us that the limitations are in your head, is not what you have.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Newsfeed. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you all next week.